Welcome into the Fantasy Nightcap. And as you can tell, we just had a very last-minute edition. My name's Shane. I'll be your bartender for the night. You can follow me on Twitter at FFShaneB and follow the show at Fantasy Nightcap. Joining me tonight are special rotating taps, if you will, of Mr. Josh Cho. Josh,
hello. Glad to be here.
How you doing tonight, Josh?
I'm doing all right, man. Just ready to draft and talk some football.
Awesome.
And I got my Diet Coke right here.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, hardcore.
So, Josh jumped the gun. We'll get there in a minute.
Oh, snap. I didn't know. Okay, my bad.
In this corner for me, we have Mr. J, GMenJay. Jay, how you doing tonight, buddy?
What's up, brother? I appreciate you having me. I'm excited to hold on. Oh, wait, this way. There we go. Hold on. Herms. Boom. And then Josh, hold on a little bit. Not in the head. There you go. That works. All right. Shane, I'm ready to roll. I'm excited to do this rookie mock and have some fun with Herms and Shane. I've done many shows with you. This is the first one I've got to do with Josh, but I'm excited.
Absolutely. And then, as you all saw with the last entry to the show, it is the one and only Herms with an accent mark.
That's true. You have to keep things spicy. You know what I mean? It's more fun that way.
Spicy like Old Bay hot sauce.
Oh, of course, yes. Well, there's no other way. It's the only way I know how. But I think because with the accent mark, it makes it more like, ladies and gentlemen, Herms. Ooh, Herms. See, Herms. You know, it's more fun. I don't know.
I like that.
Me too. And then poor Joey. Joey was not feeling well, so he was not able to join us tonight. But Joey would have been on with us. Joey, get to feeling better, buddy.
Yeah, I talked to him earlier, and he definitely did not sound good. He's been battling a pretty gnarly sinus infection. So get well, Joey.
Yes, get well, Joey. And then because this is the Front Yard Fantasy Nightcap episode, happy birthday to John Luke Garofolo.
Garofalo, but
Garofalo. I was close enough.
Garofalo, you know. Well, that was nice of you. Yeah, we sang him happy birthday earlier today on the call, and it was beautiful. Honestly,
I bet
some people have called me the songbird of my generation. So
I am sure of that. I'll have to test that at our draft. All right, gentlemen. Before we get into drafting, there is one question that is asked on every episode of the Nightcap. What are you drinking? And Josh, we'll start with you.
I jumped the gun, but Diet Coke, gotta have it.
Attaboy. Jay, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a bourbon and water minus the bourbon.
Cheers. Herms, don't let me down.
It's the nectar of the gods, baby. Budweiser's finest, the Mango Rita.
Yes. So, if you missed the last episode with Herms, just go listen to the first 5 minutes because he did the same thing, was drinking the same thing. So cheers, Herms.
Every show that I've been on with Herms, he's drinking a margarita, which is no shame. I mean, you like what you like. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
They don't taste amazing, but it's very high percentage alcohol.
That works too.
I am drinking something else that is probably also high percentage alcohol. It's just a pre-mixed Long Island tea that I found at the liquor store. I almost called it the alcohol store. I haven't even.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That is what it is.
It is. It's not wrong, but yikes.
You also call it the gasoline station.
Yeah, apparently. All right, gentlemen. So three of you did not know this before coming on the show, but I ran a contest in the month of May for a signed Plexico Burris jersey, and we're doing the reveal of who won it. Herms, I don't even think you're entered.
I'm just excited for whoever it is.
I hope I have a shot.
You have 3.
Oh, jeez.
No, that was
man.
Oh, man.
All right, and the winner is it's Joey Wright.
Hey,
Joey!
Look at you! All right,
Joey, that gives me an excuse to meet you next week.
He had to show up to win, though, right? So he doesn't win because
no, that's not how it works. Unfortunately,
if you're not here to claim your prize, then
Joey, if you're watching, you won the Plexico Burris jersey. I'm coming down to Central Florida next week, so let's meet up and I'll deliver it to you.
There you go. I feel like that was fixed just so you could meet Joey. No, I'm just playing. I know you wouldn't.
All right, gentlemen, are you ready to mock?
Are you
Let's
ready
do
for
it.
some mock drafts?
There you go, Herms.
I think that's how it goes, right?
It's close enough. Huh?
Here we go. What
Here we go.
if I can remember how to do this?
Here we go.
There we go.
Let's roll.
All right, let's pull up the draft and start. Yes, I want to start the draft. All right, so up is Crawdads.
It is not a show with Herms if we don't have the kazoo.
Herms, I love you, man.
He's so good at
I love
it.
you too, man. That's what it's all about, baby.
You gotta bring it to Canton when we go to the karaoke bar.
Oh, dude, I'm way ahead of you. I actually have, so strategically throughout the country, I have placed emergency kazoos. So
Oh my
that way, in
goodness.
any situation,
Kind of like Ron Swanson with the bacon. You could just like take a painting off the wall and there's like 16 kazoos hanging.
of course,
behind it.
yeah. I planted
smart.
them all last summer, so we're good.
It was so smart.
So we are waiting for friend of Jay and I, Crawdads, to make the first pick, and we'll see how this goes because he's a wild card.
Ryan
So-
definitely is. He's a good dude. I've known him since I was 12 years old. So
Oh my goodness!
yeah, long time, and I'm old, so that's a long time.
Yes. Oh,
Hey.
Brees Hall.
They
Smart.
kept
No,
the consensus on
I
this
am-
one, though.
I'm proud of you, Ryan. Proud of you for figuring that one out. So, guys, Brees Hall is kind of the consensus 101. Do you guys have any other considerations for 101? And Josh, you are on the clock as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't, honestly, in this draft. It being so shallow at running back, and I mean, he's an all-around guy. What do you have, like 56 touchdowns in his 3 seasons? He's got a sub 4.4 speed. He's got the weight. He's 215 plus pounds. So I think Michael Carter fans are going to be a little bit disappointed when he comes in and takes the majority of touches in New York. So yeah, I don't have anyone else besides Brees Hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jay, what about
yeah,
you?
I'm with Josh on this one. I think the difference maker between him and Kenneth Walker for me is the pass catching. It's not saying it's all over Twitter. People saying, "Oh, well, Kenneth
He
Walker."
one-handed it, man.
Right. Oh, there's one video.
Brooks.
He's all of a sudden, Austin Eckler going to catch a ton of passes. I don't expect that to be part of the game in Seattle. Oh wow, that was I was hoping Drake might fall.
At the
Nice pick.
102.
I love that. I think he's going to get a ton of work in New York. He's got the pass catching. He's no question the 101 for me.
Okay. And Josh, you took Herms. Let's go to you on Brees Hall first, and then we'll throw it back to Josh.
I got nothing else that hasn't already been said. I mean, it's pretty much Brees Hall. I mean, if you want to do something else, more power to you. It's your life. I can't tell you what to do, but I mean, I think all other choices would be bad ideas. So take Brees Hall at 101 if you have it. Just do it.
Okay, well then none of you agree with me. I actually took Kenneth Walker at 101 in a draft that Jay and I were in.
Oh, snap.
I feel like this is probably slightly hot. It's not even meant to be hot takey. I just haven't been as impressed in my film study of Hall as I was with guys like Spiller and Walker. And Spiller's draft capital absolutely shot that in the foot. But I just have not been in love with Hall as much as these other guys. And I like the landing spot enough for Kenneth Walker to really take him ahead of Brees Hall. So,
Wow.
Josh, you took Drake London at 102. Tell me more. Tell me why.
Man, I think like just the upside on how good this guy is. The amount of yardage he put up in just 8 games, over 1,000 yards, 88 receptions. I think the only other receiving option right now that is really even considered a real receiver in the NFL level, I think, is Kyle Pitts, of course, who was a rookie last year. And so I think he's going to come in. He's got the talent, and I think he's going to get a ton of looks his way. So, a banging start to his rookie year. And I think he's going to be worth the 102 for sure.
Okay. Jay, I know you took Drake London in a draft recently. Are you worried about quarterback play at all?
No, because I think there's going to be enough volume. I mean, basically, it's Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and that's about it. And he profiles as a Mike Evans type player. I don't really think, Mike Evans has had definitely some interesting guys at quarterback, guys that just sling it, like Jameis and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
No matter who's been back there, he's been able to produce. And I think that Mariota is going to be able to do enough to, I would not be surprised to see him, granted they have to be able to get in the red zone, but I don't think anybody would be shocked if Drake London winds up with 6, 7, 8 touchdowns this year. And they're going to be in, they were in talks for Deshaun Watson. I think if this was a better quarterback class, they would have looked, they've got Desmond Ridder. I think they would have looked earlier if there was better prospects. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the market for a quarterback in the first round next year.
Yeah. I actually love where they took Ridder, and would be very happy to see Ridder get some snaps. I think he's talented enough to be a starting quarterback. He's got a ton of potential. I think if he can improve his consistency, I think he could be a steal for them where they got him.
I mean, they'd all be steals if they end up being a starter.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, Herms, you took good old Kenny Walker at 105 with Garrett Wilson still on the board. So talk to me about that, pretty please.
Yeah, well, it's one of those situations where, in every rookie draft I've done, once Breece Hall, for the most part, is off the board at 101, it's just like the run of receivers for the most part. And it's just like, I don't know, like, wow, hey, that was pretty neat. Great pick, by the way.
What in the heck was that?
Hey, man, I'll have my thoughts on that later. But I don't know, like, you can justify like a group of maybe about 4 of them to be taken in some order, and then there's a whole group of other ones. But like for me, like I'm all about scooping just like very cheap running back talent when I can. Yeah. And I'm not really that terrified of the Seattle landing spot because like I don't know if Chris Carson ever plays football again with his neck. Yep. And then also, look, I love Rashad Penny. Like he was fun coming into the league, but like 4 games at the end of the season does not erase years of being hurt and ineffective. I'm not afraid of like the messiness of the backfield. And people be like, oh, well, Pete Carroll, they do some irritating stuff with committees and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, well, so does like literally every other team. Every backfield in the NFL is a committee, unless you're Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, or like
Dalvin
2 other people, maybe. Yeah. Like it's going to be a frustrating headache for like the 28 other teams. So just give me the other good guy who got high capital. I don't know. Just say.
Well, I'm with you. I hate that narrative that, I don't want a running back on a team that's bad. Look at Saquon Barkley's rookie year. That Giants team was awful. If your argument is Breece Hall, the Jets aren't, they had a fantastic draft and a great offseason, but they're not all of a sudden Super Bowl contenders. They're going to be a pretty bad team too. So there's been plenty of examples of running backs producing on bad teams, and I'm with you. At 105, that's an absolute steal for Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. Jay, I think you got the steal of the first round, though, in Garrett Wilson at 106. If he goes outside of the top 3 for me, it is a steal. Really? So, oh, yeah, absolutely. To me, he should be in that conversation for 102, 103. I would even consider him at 101 if I was a wide receiver needy team. So I love that pick, Jay. And I'm on the clock, and I thought Jameson Williams had fallen to me, but he did not. So I'm trying to figure out who I'm gonna take here.
He wouldn't have made it past me because I love me some Jameson Williams as well. Yeah, I'm with you. That's why I really feel like there's a big drop off. While I like Olave and Pickens and anybody else who's going to go here, I feel like those top 6 guys, those top 4 wide receivers, Burks, Williams, Wilson, London, those are pretty much just preference. They're all in the same tier. Yeah. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, those are the top 2 running backs. After that, it really falls off, and it depends on makeup. That's why the team that we were talking about, where I took Drake London at 102, it's a rebuilding team. I'm not going to compete this year. That's why I went London over Walker, because by the time I'm going to be ready to compete, who knows what Walker's going to be, what kind of tread is on his tires, what that offense looks like. So.
This one is for you, Jay.
Yeah. It's been a long time since we won, but I will say both Super Bowls that Eli Manning won, we beat Ryan's Packers on the way. So just throw that out there.
Hey, what's with you guys just letting Bradbury go, man? That was weird.
It made sense, not from a competitive standpoint for this year, but from a money standpoint. I'm glad that Shane knows that we're going to. That's how you say it, right? Joe Shane, is that like kind of like the host name? I read it. I haven't really heard anybody say it.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah.
It was a monetary move. We needed money to be able to sign our draft picks. We're not going to be competing this year. You know, it's a move for next year and the year after. It was the right move. We tried to. Everybody knew that we were going to release him if we couldn't find a trade. He tried everything he could, and nobody would bite. So it was the move to make. Unfortunately, it was one of the very few good signings that Dave Gettleman actually had. So
proud of you, Gettleman. Proud of you, Gettleman. Okay, I want to talk about Kenny Pickett. I'm gonna. Sorry, Herms, you're not gonna like this. I am very, very much out on Kenny Pickett. The only reason I would take him is if I am truly in desperate, like my quarterbacks right now in one league are Drew Lock and Jared Goff.
Ew.
Okay? I would take Kenny Pickett in that league, but I don't have any picks in the first 2 rounds. So, but I would take Kenny Pickett in that league. I'm not touching Kenny Pickett before where'd he go? 108 here. Yeah. I'm not touching him before 109, 110. I think he is at his ceiling. I do not see his ceiling being any higher. Herms, as the resident Steelers fan, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Yeah, you know, I understand the concerns because anytime there is a draft class where there's only one quarterback who was picked in the first 2 rounds that has any semblance of a guarantee to start for multiple seasons, I'm out, you know, obviously, especially like in a landing spot where the weapons are like better than like any possible like landing spot for a rookie quarterback could possibly be. It's frustrating, right? It's just like walk in and immediately have like Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson and Pat Freiermuth, and then they go out and get George Pickens in the 2nd round to help build toward the future. I hate it. I hate it.
It's so naturally that like the sarcasm I had to like, oh wait, he's being sarcastic.
I have Kenny Pickett everywhere, and I felt comfortable taking him in that spot like 10 out of 10 times. Like it's fine.
I'd feel comfortable anywhere after 106, to be honest with you. In Superflex League, obviously. Just to clarify, we're talking Superflex.
We are in the Superflex rookie mock, so
yeah. Late first, I'm cool with, but I'm kind of with Shane a little bit in the sense that I don't think any of the QBs are going to be franchise QBs in the league. You know what I mean? Like, so he got picked as one in essence because he's a first rounder, but
I don't think he's really that good.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to be. Like, I agree though that he's got a great coach and a great setup. I mean, he's got a stud running back and some great receivers to throw to. So, if he can beat out Trubisky, which even that's not a guarantee, then you know he'll have a chance to shine. But I really think he's going to be Trubisky's backup.
I could see it starting out that way, but I think by the end of the season, I think unless Trubisky just comes out and lights it up.
Yeah, I mean, he's MVP, so
that's right. He's got that MVP. I'm leaning more towards Herms. I think you know, but because he doesn't have the rushing upside like a Malik Willis is why you're not going to see him go in that top half of the first round. But Superflex leagues, we all know it is so hard to get a quarterback. You know, unlike all the other positions, there are 32 and only 32 starting quarterbacks from week to week. So the cheapest place you're going to be able to get them is in the draft. I think that even though Kenny Pickett doesn't have the ceiling of, you know, a top 5, top 10 quarterback, you have to take him after these top 6 guys, just for the simple fact. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll share real quick. I actually traded out of the 1.09 where I could have gotten Pickett in a 2 QB league, and I traded for Michael Thomas and a 2nd round in the same draft. So just kind of letting you know, like,
what's your quarterback situation like
about him? Yeah,
that's the main thing is what your roster construction is. Exactly. If you need a quarterback, you know, if you're set at quarterback, then by all means. But I think Kenny Pickett is a absolute fine second starter as a Superflex. If things go right, I could see him, jumping into that back end QB1. I don't ever see him becoming that stud, that everybody's drafting as one of the first 5 quarterbacks off the board. But I'm with Herms. I mean, he couldn't ask for a better situation. They know him. They share practice facility with the Steelers.
Yeah.
Pitt does. So there we go.
I'm pretty sure the wow is like that. It was not that great of a pick because it's Malik Willis.
That means I got not that great of a pick with Jahan Dotson. But oh well.
Yeah.
I pre-draft, I love Dotson. I just don't love the landing spot. I don't trust Carson Wentz. And he's going to likely be the number 2 behind Terry McLaurin there. So I think he's talented enough to be a number 1 if McLaurin were to ever leave, or if somehow Wentz can support 2 wide receiver 1s.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, exactly. That's
and I'm a Wentz
my
guy.
point.
I think Wentz gets too much hate. I like Wentz.
Yeah, why does everyone hate on Wentz so much, man? I think Terry McLaurin's going to have his best season ever. And, there's going to be
probably got his best quarterback ever.
Yeah.
It's a very low bar to clear.
He didn't even do that badly last year. I mean, I know he had that terrible finish, missing the playoffs and everything. But
the thing, you talk about Wentz. Yeah, Wentz was a solid fantasy quarterback. Yeah. I think he gets way too much hate. I'm with you.
Yeah. Did you guys see that Spiller went 112 in our draft?
I did. That is shocking. I loved Spiller pre-draft. I don't know about you guys, but getting 5th round draft capital, I think. Dude.
Was it 5th or was it earlier? I thought it was a 4th.
I thought it was 5th. It could have been earlier.
I will say I really like the landing spot for Isaiah Spiller. Though.
I do too.
4th round.
It was 4th round? Okay.
Yeah.
I do too, Jay. But I would not touch him in the 1st round yet.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have some of the guys that just went now, like Damian Pierce and I think Rachaad White over Spiller.
Rachaad White's been a popular one.
Yeah.
Herms, we haven't heard from you in a little while.
It's been a while.
Okay, throwing some Stained in there. I like it. Josh took Skye Moore at the 202.
That's a steal, man.
It's not, though. I think you got him right where he should be picked.
No.
No,
I'm with Josh on this one.
Everyone is thinking he's going to be the next Tyreek Hill.
No one's saying that. But out of the rookies, like especially in this draft, looking at, James Cook, he's going to be, I think, a very good complementry back. But I don't think he's ever going to be like the guy.
I think he's being overdrafted too.
Yeah, Spiller is. I don't think he should have been taken there. But yeah, Skye Moore, he's not going to be amazing. But obviously situation is very important. So landing spot, huge, productive in his final year. He had 1,300 yards almost and 10 touchdowns. So the only thing I would knock on him is like, he's not your prototypical like height and weight, but at the same time, like KC, you don't need to be a prototype wide receiver, alpha to be good. And not everyone's Tyreek, but I think Skye Moore, he has an opportunity to come in. Well, he has to battle Mecole Hardman, to be the number 1 guy. So
Juju.
Thank you.
Juju's
Thank you,
guy. That's all he can do. So
Skye
Moore has a real opportunity. Yeah,
I'm 100% with Josh on this one. I love Skye Moore. I'm not saying he deserves to go in the top half of drafts, but your reaction chain is exactly what's pushing his value down, and I'm perfectly fine with it. Nobody expects him to be the next Tyreek Hill. And if somebody, I think people are more scared of what happened with CEH, where his value got bumped up because he wound up in Kansas City. Now everybody's like, oh, well, let's look at Skye Moore. His ADP is going to skyrocket, pun intended, because he landed in I'm a dad. Sorry for the dad joke.
Sky's the limit, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Sweet Jesus.
He's a yak monster. He can, he doesn't have to be Tyreek Hill to be able to be productive for big plays down the field. He's fast. Agreed. He's not Tyreek Hill fast. Not many humans on this earth is Tyreek Hill fast.
No.
And Juju is still there, but he's on a 1-year deal. Nobody would be surprised to see Juju leave. Travis Kelce's getting up there in age. I think Skye Moore has a real opportunity to say, kind of like with like I was talking about with Kenny Pickett. He doesn't have to be a wide receiver 1 Jamar Chase type season to be a productive fantasy piece. I think he can easily be a high-end wide receiver too in his career if he's used. I trust just about anybody on an Andy Reid-led team because he's one of the few coaches that knows how to scheme an offense around his players,
including Ronald Jones.
Um,
that was good for Herms. Herms, what do you think about Skye Moore? Where are you comfortable taking him?
Where he went, and honestly,
earlier,
there's one. I've only secured one share of Skye Moore, and that was at the 112 in a league, and that's fine. I have concerns, but not nearly as many as some other people are kind of inventing in their own head, kind of to go off of what was said before. There are segments of the fantasy population that are either way over the moon about the landing spot or on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. They're totally nervous because for some reason CEH is going to influence their decision on a wide receiver that was drafted 3 years later. And then the point in between, which is where I feel most people are. They're just looking at it and they're okay, this is fine. This is fine. Because I don't, and there are some people out there that had Skye Moore, super high in their rankings, which I disagreed with, but at the same time, he was worth the pick that they invested in him, and he clearly possesses some talent, and he does have to overcome certain people early on the depth chart, but I assume he can ascend over a Mecole Hardman and a Marquez Valdes-Scantling rather quickly.
Yeah.
And assuming the Chiefs are not the second consecutive NFL team that violently miscasts Juju as a slot receiver, because that yak ability that that's not him. It's not him. God, I swear if Andy Reid puts him in the slot, I'm going to be so mad because I still love you, Juju. I still love you, Juju. But
Juju has to be a big body slot, man. He's not good enough to be more.
Yes, he
is. Not more.
He's not Skye Moore. He's
not Skye Moore. But
dang it, Josh.
Juju is who he is. I think sure. Even on the Steelers, that's where he produced the most.
I know. I just have I'll save my opinion on why the Steelers ruined Juju, but that's it's beside the point. It's beside the point. The point is Skye Moore. I mean, there have been times where I've been faced with the decision of Skye Moore or George Pickens or Skye Moore or Christian Watson or something, because they're all kind of being lumped together. The only one I would really vehemently argue on behalf of ahead of Skye Moore would be George Pickens, but otherwise of the players in that realm, I've passed on Jahan Dotson for Skye Moore. I've passed on Christian Watson for Skye Moore, and you know what I mean? To illustrate some context for the viewers and listeners, that's pretty much where my thought process is with that. So a very long-winded, not sort of half answer. Skye Moore's could be a good football player.
that's a hard-hitting analysis you expect on this show.
There you go.
That's absolutely beautiful.
That's why Fantasy Pros pays me the big bucks. That's
couldn't ask for better analysis, Herms. I
really feel like that next tier, the Olaves, Pickens, Dotson, Watson, Moore, it's kind of just the same. How I was talking about the four guys that are in the first tier. It's really just preference. They're skill wise, they're all close.
I would take Olave over that group.
Yeah, I'll probably slide him a little bit ahead of the group.
I would take Pickett as early as 108. Excuse me, not Pickett. Skye Moore. I would take him over Pickens. I'd take him over Dotson. Watson would be close because I like the situation in Green Bay.
Same.
Yeah, I have more. I have more ahead of
between Watson and Moore. I'm taking Watson every time.
Really? Just because what? Just because Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, the quarterback situation is comparable. Mm-hmm. I think the landing spot is comparable because after Allen Lazard, who else is in that wide receiver room?
Whoa, Sammy Watkins, come on!
Wide receiver.
Sammy Week 1 Watkins, are you kidding me, Herms?
Week 1 Watkins. The only thing
I love Sammy.
That concerned me is, he's going to have to earn the trust of Aaron Rodgers. Traditionally, Aaron Rodgers has hesitated to throw to rookie. Granted, the Packers have never drafted a good rookie wide receiver, so
Watson.
Maybe that's the case. But I'm with you. I have a lot of Watson. I like him as well. We're gonna have to bid Ryan up on Watson in our home league drafts.
Sammy season.
That's fine.
Sammy season's 1 week, but
pretty much. So, Herms and Jay, I'm going to throw this next question to you. You guys took Damian Pierce and Rachaad White. Pierce possibly got the best landing spot in the draft for running backs. So I'm assuming that's why you took him, Herms, but I'm going to let you talk about that. And then, Jay, I want you to tell us kind of how do you see White fitting into that offense? And we'll start with Herms.
Well, yeah, before I get into that, I will just quickly throw in, so a year from now, when George Pickens ends up just being like this bona fide genius pick, you're all going to look back and just be like, wow, we should have listened to Herms about George Pickens. Everybody out there, draft George Pickens, do it. He's going to be a star on the Steelers. Anyway, so Damian Pierce, he's in that group of running backs where, like, I don't know, there's potential for a lot of these guys to end up being Michael Cartered, you know, kind of because like next year's class is so laden with running back talent. I mean, like, honestly, like for those of us that remember, you know, the year that, you know, gave us like Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara and stuff like that, or maybe they were a couple years apart. Either that lump of really good.
Leonard
like,
Fournette was that same draft too.
Yeah. So just like remember how good that felt, and then just like realize that that's how you're going to feel this time next year about those guys. So I look at the majority of the running backs in this class at best as like potentially just like one and done, like in terms of like bona fide value. And if assuming that this is a team that I'm building where like, well, and like after you get past the first round or whatever, it's just like, okay, who do I feel confident in can like help me, you know, whether it's super down the road or super early on. Damian Pierce is somebody where it's just like, if it's only the 1 year, fine. Because the corpse of Rex Burkhead and Marlon Mack, like, it doesn't scare me at all. And, you know, I got to say, like, I am pretty interested in the potential of what Houston's offense could be. Like, I'm not saying this is going to be
Marlon Mack is only 26. As a 27-year-old, I would like you to remember that.
I'm also, well, I look, I'm slow, but I've also never torn my Achilles. So I'm just saying. But like, so yeah, I mean, like, I understand that there is a certain reality where it backfires, and this brazen assumption that he is just going to saunter in and steal the job, you know, is maybe that doesn't happen, but he should still theoretically be able to work out enough of a role early on to be worthy of the pick. And like, there's an argument for Rachaad White as well that, you know, I think Jay's going to outline that pretty well. You know, I was really torn between the two. So, I mean, like, any insight you have on that, Jay, I mean, I think that would probably give people more context for the decision that they have to make.
Before we do that, Josh, you are on the clock.
There you go. I just made my pick.
Just making sure.
Thank you.
And before you get into that, Jay, I need you to absolutely, like, I'm giving you solo layout for a minute. Just
no, geez, all right. Yeah, so this was back in high school when we were first starting to play. I mean, it was literally probably before they even had live scoring. Like, that's how old I am. That's how long I've been playing, where you had to wait till the next day to get your scores for your fantasy teams. Ryan and I, like I said, been friends for a long time, and he drafted right before me, and he asked me who he should take. And I was honest. I said, well, the magazine says you should take Deuce McAllister over Sean Alexander.
Oh, no.
I was honest. I wanted Sean Alexander. And he took Deuce McAllister, and I think that was Sean Alexander's MVP season, and I wound up, I think I won the league that year. I'm not sure, but
yeah, he carried a lot of guys.
Yeah, I told him. I mean, the magazine said Deuce McAllister, so that's what.
But Deuce wasn't terrible.
No, he wasn't. It was Sean Alexander. Just it went
toward the world apart.
Yeah, for a couple of years, right? A few years.
All right, Jay, talk to us about Rachaad White and how you see him fitting into that offense. And I'm going to throw you a little caveat too. If Damian Pierce had been there, would you have taken Pierce?
I would have not. I was hoping that Herms took Pierce over White. I think they're both comparable. The biggest difference for me is Herms hit the nail on the head. I could definitely see both of these teams, Houston and Tampa Bay, drafting a running back early next year. With that being said, with White's pass catching capability, I still could see him having fantasy value if that happened over Damian Pierce. You know, Pierce like you said, we don't know if he's going to, he's probably got the best opportunity outside of Breece Hall, to come in and just be the guy, the volume he can get.
Yeah.
Rachaad White, I really like it. Leonard Fournette necessarily hasn't always been the healthiest in his career. I don't like calling people injury prone, but he's dealt with injuries over his career. I really, he could potentially be a high-end RB2 if Leonard Fournette winds up missing time. Leonard Fournette was one of, I believe it's either 5 or 6 running backs that averaged 5 targets or more each game. So I'm not going to say that Leonard Fournette, you have to worry about him, but I do think the presence of Rachaad White, if he's in there and let's say he averages 3 targets a game, 4 targets a game, you're basically cutting Leonard Fournette's targets in half. You do have to worry a little bit about his ceiling. I think Leonard Fournette has absolute safe floor. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that Leonard Fournette isn't going to produce this year, but if White comes in and does take some of that third down work, some of that passing work, you have to be a little concerned of, taking Leonard Fournette as your locked and loaded RB1.
What about Keyshawn Vaughn?
What about him?
I just had to throw
asking the hard-hitting questions,
Absolutely.
I'm not concerned about Keyshawn Vaughn. I'd be more concerned if Herms was on the roster than Keyshawn Vaughn.
That is fair. Okay, Josh, I'm going to throw it to you next, but first I want to talk about Trey McBride. I got him at 210. I love that value, and I'm pretty much comfortable taking McBride anywhere from really 206 on. So getting him at 210, I love that. He's the only tight end I'm comfortable taking and potentially starting in my lineup this year with close to what I feel like is guaranteed fantasy production. I mean, Ertz is still there, yes, but Ertz is getting up there in age, even for tight end that'll matter at some point. And with Hopkins out, they could run 12 personnel and throw out McBride and Ertz and be okay. So I love getting McBride in the late second. Do you guys have any additional thoughts on McBride?
Man, honestly, I think McBride definitely is the number 1 tight end in this rookie class.
100%.
And, there's not really anyone else that I would take yet, in anywhere near the second. I saw Jelani Woods go next, and he's
right after. That was shocking.
Yeah, I mean, that's a high upside pick in some ways, but I mean, that's probably a big reach. He's one of the guys that I would kind of go for maybe late third or even in the fourth. If he hasn't been falling that far now because people are kind of starting to, catch on to the hype of Jelani Woods. But yeah, McBride is someone that I would consider, but probably more so in something like a tight end premium league.
Yeah.
He's definitely the tight end 1, but I actually see Zach Ertz being there for a couple of years, kind of relegating McBride to decent production, but then, kind of that rookie third year tight end breakout, mold. So let him learn behind and, put in work behind Ertz. And then when Ertz is kind of done and, on his way, like McBride will step up big time then. So it's a longer investment than, taking a different wide receiver or something like that there.
But that's kind of what you have to do with tight ends.
Yeah.
So I love the analysis that you gave there. I'm going to throw it back to you again. You took, I can never pronounce his name, Tyler Algier, something.
Yeah,
like
I say
that.
Algier. I don't know
Algier.
if that's correct or not.
That's it, Algier.
Thank you. Tyler Algier at 3.2.
Yeah.
I love this pick.
That's a steal. That is a huge steal.
Can't see on this screen.
So
okay, yeah. I love this pick. So talk to me about it, because I think he's one of the other guys from a running back standpoint that got a really, really good landing spot, especially because the Falcons cut the trash can that is Mike Davis.
Yeah. So I really like him. I've actually, in a startup this offseason, gotten him really late in in a draft, and I was really happy when this is before the Mike Davis release. But a lot of his kind of the people who kind of put him down more, it's because he's not really a flashy guy, and he's not someone that you can kind of depend on for huge, breakout runs and things like that. Although, I mean, he's had those in his college career. He's kind of your like steady back, not super fast, not super flashy, but he can produce. And I think that's what they're looking for. I think that's why they even had Mike Davis there, was kind of similar. It's like nothing spectacular, but someone, if you put him in and they put him to work, they're going to put up some numbers. And so, landing spot plus the release of Mike Davis, I think, to me, in the third round, having a running back that could produce, right away is just definitely a huge advantage, when you're drafting. Damian Williams is there, and he's someone who could definitely still take, a lot of the work. But Algier has a great chance, to step up and really produce in his first season. So, yeah, I had to take him there.
100%. I love that pick. Herms, you took Khalil Shakur at 3. Shakir. I don't even know. I'm sorry, guys. It's late, and yeah, whatever. But you took Khalil Shakur at 305. I like that pick a lot, especially as a kind of a dart throw, essentially. And good old Eric Romoff is about to time that jerk. But talk to me about Shakir, because he's someone who I have seen kind of rising up the Twitter hype lately.
Well, a little bit just before I get into that, I'll say for people that get mad if they miss Damian Pierce in their draft, then you just get the discount version of him later with Tyler Algier. It's a really smart life hack. But Khalil Shakir is interesting to me because it was pretty evident that like this guy's very well equipped to play the slot role in an NFL offense. And honestly, I was pretty excited about at least the like slim possibility, or at least the possibility that I built in my head. I was like, oh, well, wouldn't it be fun if the Steelers were, could get somebody like that? They ended up going with Calvin Austin, a perfectly fine pick as well. But, you look at Shakir and what he can walk into immediately in Buffalo. And like, perhaps that is more of the Isaiah McKenzie type responsibility, but like assuming that he is able to graduate up in the pecking order as time goes along, because like, if we keep in mind the fact that Jamison Crowder is not there on any sort of long-term deal. And, if you give, the young guy some time to learn, maybe this time next year, we look at Khalil Shakir being the slot receiver in Buffalo, which we have seen over time produce a lot of fantasy value, whether it was, Cole Beasley or anybody. Yeah. So like, that's kind of the hope that you're, looking to get out of it. And I'm perfectly okay with taking that chance, because it's like, it is a specific role that I assume the front office has typecast him to eventually grow into. And like, that's the type of player that I saw him as a prospect anyway. So I was just like, wow, like honestly, like it fits like a glove. I was like, okay, this is going to be brilliant. So I mean, like I've selected Shakir in many of my rookie drafts so far, and I continue to do so. Like, I don't think that like the slot role in Buffalo is fantasy viable. It's not so fantasy viable that you have to like reach on it, because, like I said, like it's still going to take a little bit of time, but if he's there in like the third and fourth rounds of drafts and stuff, I mean, like, go ahead. Absolutely take that chance.
Yeah. All right. And then Jay, there's words I can't say to you because we're on YouTube. But Ryan points it out here. I will. He likes the Williams pick that you made at 309 or 307. 306. I can't count.
One, two.
Before I ask for your analysis, I'm going to give you guys my hot take, and you're all going to laugh at me probably. But Kyron Williams,
I laugh at you pretty often. So.
That's fair. But Kyron Williams is the best back on the Los Angeles Rams.
What?
100%. I'm super low on Cam Akers, and that's what I'm going to leave it at. Jay,
hey, Daryl Henderson Jr., man, when he's out there, he runs hard, man.
You could just stop there though. You said when he's out there, because he's not often out there. So
bingo.
He produces.
He's got to be out there to produce. I'm with you. I like Daryl Henderson. But and I'm not going to go that far, Shane. But I do. At this point in a rookie draft, you're looking for a lottery ticket that could potentially, eventually, find their way into some work. I still like Cam Akers, but you have to be concerned with the way that he played. Granted, he did come back from a devastating injury very early, but even the year before, he only had a couple of games where he really produced big. So the jury's still out on Cam Akers. We don't know if he's going to be able to recover from the injury or if he was ever going to be that guy to begin with. And Daryl Henderson, like you said, he's fine, but he's not able to stay on the field, and he's an unrestricted free agent after this year. So he could walk. Cam Akers might not be the guy. And Kyron Williams comes in. He could, we saw what Sean McVay did with a guy like Sony Michel. He wants to have a workhorse back in this offense. He's a capable pass catcher. Over the past 2 seasons, he's averaged over 1,000 rushing yards at Notre Dame. It was 995 last year, so pretty much 1,000
pass blocking.
Yeah, but he's not as good as Sony. I mean, let's be real. There's a reason he was drafted where he was drafted.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's as good as Sony, but I'm just saying to put a guy like Sony in and make him the guy where he hasn't been in the NFL yet. I think that shows that the Rams want to have one back as the bell cow.
I agree though about the Akers. If I had Akers anywhere, I'd sell him to anyone who still thinks of him as like a top 10 dynasty guy.
I'm trying.
Yeah, at this point, I'd hang on Akers because I think the majority of people feel that way, and I would rather not sell low. I'd rather just hang on to him, in case he comes back to be what he was. But I tweeted out earlier in the week, I really hate how low I have Cam Akers because
I saw that.
I was working on my redraft rankings, and I was having a really hard time putting him ahead of anybody. I mean, he was bouncing between 16 and 20. And honestly, that was before rookies were in there, and he's probably going to be in the 20s for me.
Yep. Daryl Henderson Jr. is going to be the value pick again, at more than Kyron Williams.
I really don't like that they've done that for 2 of my picks. Okay, before
all your picks, Shane.
For real, the only one they didn't was Trey McBride, so got good value on him.
I like Pierre's strong pick, by the way.
He's someone who I'm coming around on lately that I'm willing to take a shot on in the 3rd or 4th round, depending on the draft. Belichick never really commits to one back for a full season. We can see a guy like, what was the back from Notre Dame a couple years ago?
What the heck was that?
Apparently the draft ended and it sounded like it farted.
Nice.
But yeah, so Pierce
Damian Harris is a free agent after this year.
Yeah.
And they don't really keep running backs.
And they've got Ramondre Stevenson, but I think Strong can play a different role because I feel like Stevenson's just going to be that kind of ground and pound type of guy. So, all right, the draft is finished. I'll do a recap of it in just a minute. But before we jump into that, guys, I want to ask each of you your thoughts on the quarterbacks and the order that they went in after Kenny Pickett at 108. So we had Malik Willis go at 204. We had Desmond Ridder go at 301, Matt Corral at 307, and Sam Howell at 309. I'm a little surprised that Willis went over almost a round over Ridder. Do you guys feel the same way? Start with you, Josh.
I think that Willis was a reach here. I'm kind of out on the quarterbacks, even in a super flex in this draft, because again, I mean, there has to be a pathway which kind of points to some people maybe take a chance on them, like Ridder, but I'm out on them as being a starting quarterback class. Pickett is the only one that I might touch because of his draft capital and because of the situation that he's in. But mostly I would see maybe in the second, half of the second round, I've seen the other quarterbacks go. But man, there's just so much on the board, I think, that you could take that will produce more over the long haul of the seasons ahead than some of these quarterbacks. But yeah, I would say I understand Willis because he was like the consensus 101 for a long time before he felt right, like so late in the NFL draft. And Ridder has a great situation, right? I mean, there's a bridge guy there and he can step up in the following years. But I just don't see it with any of these guys. So it kind of doesn't matter to me where they went. It just leaves one more player, I think, for the other teams to get that are going to actually produce for their fantasy squads.
Gotcha. Jay, what about you?
I agree somewhat with what Josh said. I will say I'm comfortable from the middle of the second on taking Willis or Ritter and even Corral. I would prefer. I think Ritter and Willis are a tier above the rest of the guys. I like the situation for Corral. I think he's talented, and he's got Christian McCaffrey, he's got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson,
Carolina boy.
Right. Well, I don't pull for the Panthers, but I don't mind them. But Malik Willis and Desmond Ritter, the thing they have is they are going to produce if they are able to become the starter, whether it's this year, whether it's next year. I think if you're looking for somebody that's going to be more likely to become a starter this year, it's definitely Ritter. That would be the guy I'd go for. Malik Willis, I still believe in the talent. I think he will eventually be the starter in Tennessee.
Really?
There's a I don't think it's going to be this year. I think it's going to be next year. Well, he's
going to have to learn the playbook on his own, apparently.
Yeah, I think that was
blown out of proportion.
Yeah, that was taken out of context.
Oh no, I completely agree. I don't know. I wish Tannehill would have been a better teammate in some sense of it, but like you said, if I remember the interview correctly, they're competing. Like they're competing for the same job. You're not going to necessarily show him the ropes.
He didn't say, I'm not going to help the guy.
Yeah.
He said, it's not my job to mentor him, which granted, he definitely could have said it better and he could have a better attitude about it. But I don't think this is just me guessing, but I don't think he meant that I'm not going to help him out. I think it was more of that. That's not my job. While I'm doing my job, if I can help him, that's great.
If not, too bad.
Right. But I still believe in Malik Willis, even falling that far. We've seen, it's definitely a lot shakier without the draft capital because they could very easily, especially with the quarterbacks in next year's draft class, move on from him without losing much. But I believe in the talent. I think this is the best case scenario situation for him, not having to, if he would have wound up in Detroit or, somewhere Pittsburgh where he was. Granted, there's guys there that are starters, but he would be a lot more likely to be thrown into the fire this year versus winding up in Tennessee on a run-first team with an established veteran quarterback. I think Malik Willis, everybody who's down on him, I think now is the perfect time, just like the Titans did. Take your shot. You could wind up with some value, and it's not going to really cost you that much draft capital-wise.
Yeah, before we throw it to Herms, I think you actually made a very good point for all the quarterbacks outside of Pickett. Sorry, Herms. They all landed in a good situation for their talent level. They all have a veteran.
Hold on. How did Pickett not wind up in a good situation?
No. It's different.
Okay.
Pickett,
right. I apologize for interrupting you.
Pickett, I think, can be the starter faster than anybody. And has the best talent around him.
I follow what you're saying now.
I think for the rest of the guys, they landed in situations where there's a veteran quarterback in front of them. Other than that, there's not a ton of competition, and they can sit there and learn for a year, which was what most of these guys probably needed. Even Pickett. Pickett's just got the best opportunity, I think, to start soonest. So that's kind of my thought. Herms, what do you think about the way these quarterbacks shook out after Pickett?
I mean, I agree that as high as Malik Willis went, like not great, but at the same time, it's not like so egregious that because like if he had gone like 2 or 3 picks later, I wouldn't think anything of it. So in the grand scheme of things, like fine, but like I kind of just want to revisit the point that I made before. Like when it comes to these quarterbacks. There's Kenny Pickett, and then the rest of them are like they found themselves in some serious
size.
Oh yes, of course, so actual size right there. Right. No, but like they find themselves in mouse rat type situations where, in terms of draft capital, they all fell into the pit. That's what happened. That's just they look. It's like Blake Willis. It's like I fell into the pit, you fell into the pit, we all fell into the pit. You can put Willis, Ritter, and Corral.
That's why I love you. And anytime you can have a mouse rat reference.
Of course, that's why I'm here, man. That's why I'm here, and because of that, there's still they're still worth taking, but it does kind of have to be at that more, like lowered cost, like a lot of them ended up being taken. And I think all of them are worthy candidates of being taken, but like the order in which I would take them, I maybe feel a little better about Ritter seeing the field first. And if the thing we're looking at in this is who can I extract value out of soonest, I would probably go Ritter over Willis, because like I think about it like this in terms of like some of these types of quarterbacks that are in this, you're putting it in Herms terms, well, if you're unsure about what a quarterback is going to be, you just wait until they get their opportunity, and then as soon as it happens, you flip them. You know what I mean? So that way, like, all of the risk is completely off of your plate at that point. From that standpoint, I think Ritter has a greater chance of seeing the field faster than Willis. And, like, as soon as he gets named the Falcon starter, just be like, hey, who wants him? And then you can just, like, pass the hot potato to somebody else. But I don't know.
Yeah.
For people who are nervous about Kenny Pickett, I just really want to.
It's all about roster construction for me. I feel like,
sure.
If you need a super flex quarterback, you take a shot on these guys earlier. If you don't, take the shots on the Zamir Whites, on the Trey McBrides, on the Rashad Whites.
So to that point, Jay, something that I've been doing, and people are like, why do you handcuff quarterbacks? There's one league where I had Sam Darnold and Ryan Tannehill. I think it was actually a best ball league. I took Matt Corral and
Desmond Ritter.
Malik Willis.
Oh, no, he had Tannehill. I think, especially in best ball, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
But Corral is not better than Darnold, though.
Yes, he is. Get out of here, Josh.
No, he's not.
I disagree with you on that one.
100%.
There's no way that Corral starts in front of Darnold this year.
My 3-year-old son is better than Sam Darnold.
Guys, man, the hate. I feel it.
It's not his talent level. I think it's another quarterback that has been ruined by the teams that he's been on. Yep. I think that the Jets just ruined him.
100%.
We'll see this season. I mean, it's his last season pretty much to show if he's got it or not. But
I feel like that was last year.
I mean, I think that they would have made a bigger play for something. I don't think they really trust Corral.
They tried, though. They tried for Deshaun Watson. They tried for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson turned them down.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, with Baker, they didn't. I think that was their kind of last kind of option, but they were like, we're good.
Yeah, so. Russell Wilson turned down going to Carolina. So I don't think they're confident in Sam Darnold. I think that just the hand they were dealt.
Yep. Well, they dealt it to themselves by
that's very true.
Contract on.
Yep. That's why I was so glad when the Giants didn't pick up Daniel Jones' 5th-year option.
Yeah. But do you believe that Daniel Jones could produce this year?
I think he can. I think Daniel Jones is a guy that's never going to be the type to elevate his team. I think he can produce with a good team around him. He's obviously
Wandale.
I did not like that pick, but
Wandale, mommy.
All right, guys. To wrap it up real quick before I let you guys plug anything that you want to plug, I'm going to recap each round, and then we're going to round robin it really quickly on who we think the best pick of each round was. So the first round was Breece Hall, Drake London, Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams, Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, James Cook, and Isaiah Spiller. Start with you, Josh. Who's the best pick of that round?
Best pick, probably Drake London. But I think his upside is just tremendous. And his talent, size, everything. I think he's made for the NFL level. And he's going to produce. Yeah, great situation too. Other than, I think Mariota can get him the ball.
Yeah. Herms, best pick.
Jay capitalizing on the fact that I passed on Garrett Wilson was probably the best pick.
Yeah, I like that too. Jay?
I'm going to say Herms with Kenneth Walker. I think that, he's – I haven't really seen him fall outside the top 3. I agree with Josh's pick of going with Drake London. If Walker would have went 3 or 4, I would have said the best pick was Drake London. But I just think getting Walker that late is an absolute steal, even if you don't necessarily believe in the talent. Yeah. Like you were talking about earlier with the quarterbacks, you could flip Kenneth Walker right now and get more than what the 105 was worth. So
yeah, 100%.
I think that was the best value.
I actually agree with Herms. It was Garrett Wilson for me. I think he's the best wide receiver in the class. And
wow,
I'm not deterred by the landing spot necessarily. Like I feel like some people are, but I think he can be a generational. Not generational is a very loose term there. I think he can be a very good player for years to come.
Yeah, I had him at 104. I think the 104 is kind of where I feel comfortable taking him.
Yep. All right, round 2 was Christian Watson at 201, Skye Moore at 202, David Bell at 23, Malik Willis at 24, Damian Pierce at 25, Rashad White at 26, John Mechie at 27, Wandale Robinson at 28, Zamir White at 29, Trey McBride at 210, Jelani Woods at 211, and Alec Pierce, at 212. We're going to go reverse order this time. I'm still going to go last, though. So, Herms. Jay. Best pick of round 2.
Skye Moore, and it's not even close. I would take Skye Moore as early as probably 108. I love the situation. I'm not going to rehash everything I said, but I think he's an absolute steal at 202.
Cool. Herms.
It's tough to pick between the two, so it's legitimately just a tie between Christian Watson and Skye Moore. I mean, just like because both should probably be picked in the back end of the first round. So the fact that they weren't, that's good value. That's good value.
Yeah, honestly, maybe for content's sake, I took Jahan Dotson at 110, but I typically am considering Christian Watson there.
Yeah, that's around where I would have him.
So, Josh, who do you think of the best pick in the second round was?
So, at the risk of seeming like an egomaniac and picking myself again with Skye Moore at 202, I'm going to actually say Wandale Robinson.
Okay.
He's someone who I think is an outlier of sorts because he's 5'8".
Yeah.
But he's produced and he's got pretty good speed. I think as long as he's used well, there's nothing that says that he will not be able to produce at the NFL level. And he's someone I would actually, be happy to take in the early second, but not if guys like Christian Watson or Skye Moore happen to be there. Like, it's kind of like David Bell and Wandale Robinson. I kind of have like very close together, and kind of depending on how I feel on that particular draft, I would take one or the other. But I think Wandale Robinson in the mid to late second is actually a pretty good spot to take him value wise.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I think taking him mid to late second is a really good spot for him. I'm actually going to go one pick before you for my best pick of the second round, and that's John Mechie. Brendan Cooks, Nico Collins, and John Mechie are basically their receiver room. I think they've set up Davis Mills to actually have a lot of success in year 2, and I won't say build around him, but at least give him the opportunity to produce. And we saw him produce with less last year. So adding a talented Alabama receiver to that receiver room, I think just helps him. So I really, really like that pick and like the value of John Mechie at 207. All right. Last round, best round. Desmond Ridder went 301. Tyler Algier went at 3-2. Josh, you are not allowed to answer that as the best pick for this round. Jalen Tolbert went at 3-3. Tyquan Thornton went at 3-4. Khalil Shakir went at 3-5. Kyron Williams at 3-6. Matt Corral 3-7. Brian Robinson 3-8. Sam Howell 3-9. Pierre Strong 3-10. Velus Jones, old man 3-11. And Romeo Dubes at 3-12. So Herms, I believe you are first in the rotation on this one.
I'm going to highlight somebody that we didn't talk about because Jalen Tolbert ending up in Dallas, it's a landing spot that I felt was incredibly good for him. I think that already walking into it, he's a better wide receiver than Michael Gallup, I think there's a very realistic chance he just immediately shows up and is like, hey, CeeDee Lamb, you do the number one thing. I'll be over here, just being the quality number two for this offense. And he's going to do very well. And like a lot of the athletic measurables tested out very well. And, it was really cool that he was able to participate in the Senior Bowl, like at his home stadium playing, went to college, South Alabama, but like watching him. Yeah. And like watching him in some of the drills and stuff, I'm just like, bro, this dude knows. This dude knows what's up. And like I just feel like his skill set is very conducive to what Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy want to be able to do right away. And like I understand that they paid Michael Gallup a lot of money. So I mean, if by virtue of that alone, as he continues to get healthy or whatever, even if Tolbert is kind of just like the sneaky third receiver in the offense, it's one of those situations where he can either just have like decent productivity here and there, or it's one of those guys where you're going to be so thankful you have him on your bench if anything ever happens to CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup injury wise.
100%.
Because it's like, God, he very underappreciated player, but I think getting him in the third round like that, because and looking at the other receivers, like for as much as I talked about how much I liked Khalil Shakir as my own pick, like if Tolbert had been there, I would have easily taken Tolbert, honestly. Like, I mean, I've drafted both of these guys on a lot of my teams, and I'm routinely taking Tolbert first. Like, dude's really got something going for him.
Yeah. Jay, who was your best pick?
Well, I hope that Ryan isn't still watching because I don't like to give Ryan compliments, but I like the Desmond Ridder pick. I think to get a potential starting quarterback in a Superflex rookie draft at 301, a guy who can do it with his feet, that's got weapons with young weapons with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. If Ridder winds up being the guy, you've got yourself. Dang it, Ryan's still here, unfortunately. But you've got little to no risk and nothing but upside with that pick. That's what you want with your third round picks. And honestly, there's guys I like Kyron Williams, Algier, other guys. I think Ridder out of the third round has the highest upside to return value in a Superflex league.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely love that pick. So Ryan, good job. All right, Josh, who was your best pick not named Tyler Algier?
Hey, if that's what he thinks the best pick is, that's
in the Aegis Dynasty fantasy football community that we have, I'm going to actually go ahead and say that the best pick is none other than old man Velus Jones Jr.
Love it.
I knew the reason actually is because of some of the things that we've talked about. I mean, he has blazing speed, so we know that. And if you happen to be in a dynasty, league with return yardage, that'll probably, boost him up even more as a great pick. But I think that they're going to try to get him involved, in the passing game, especially with the capital that we did give, for him. And right now, there's not that much competition, right? We have Darnell Mooney, Pringle, who is facing some, issues off the field. And so he could step in and be called upon to be like the number two, right? And so, especially to get him towards the end of the third round, I think he is someone I think everyone should kind of keep an eye on and consider taking a chance on because, he was drafted where he was for a reason. I was clamoring for Pickens to come to the Bears, with our 48th pick, but alas, we did not take him. And I was very sad. And, the Steelers got a steal.
Yes, they did.
And so I was sad about that. But yeah, Velus Jones Jr., it's so sad, though. I saw a graphic that someone put up on a sports network, and it was like him side by side with Tyreek Hill. And it was like talking about their speed and, some of the different measurables that they have. And I just kind of laughed, and I was like, oh, man, come on, guys. You're trying too hard to make him out to be something he's probably not. But could he produce in his first year with the receiving core that we have? 100%. So I'll give it to Velus Jones Jr.
Very nice. I'm actually going to go one pick after you, Josh, this time, and I'm going Romeo Dubes. For a dart throw, which is what you're usually taking in the late third, I've been getting Dubes even in the fourth round. But Dubes is someone who if he's there at my pick in the third or fourth round, I'm smashing that. I think his position being tied to Aaron Rodgers, like we've talked about earlier, there's just too much upside if he somehow connects and gains that trust with Aaron Rodgers quickly. If he can do that, then I think he's going to be a steal at the late 3rd to 4th round. So I'm going Dubes for my best pick. But honestly, the 3rd round, I feel like there was a lot of value in general. So,
yeah.
All right. So that wraps up this episode of Fantasy Nightcap. Before we roll out of here, I'm going to go to my left, right. Where are you? There you are. My left. Jay, where can people find you, and is there anything you would like to plug?
Yeah. So you can find me on Twitter at GMenJay. I am a part of the team over at Front Yard Fantasy, which all 3 of you gentlemen have guested on our various shows. Best thing I can say is subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have the game show Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, play a lot of fantasy related games. We got our buddy Joey, who was supposed to be on tonight, does some fantastic stuff as well with the newsletter that we just started. He's got his Start, Sits, and Salutations, which is a little SNL meets fantasy football. We like to mix in the fun with fantasy. So, we've got a Discord that we do mock drafts every Monday. You can get early access to those in our Discord. Follow us at it's Front Yard FYF on Twitter. But the main thing is check out our YouTube.
Follow them. They're awesome. Awesome guys over there, FYF. 100%.
Completely agree. That's why I tried to have them on this episode. And they all bailed on me. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Josh, up in my top left corner. Find you anything you want to plug?
Just, thanks for having me on, Shane. I appreciate it, and you love hanging out and talking football with you guys. You can follow me at JB Cho Knows, and I answer questions for redraft, dynasty, trades, whatever. And I always just try to do my best to help people and, spread positivity and love in the fantasy football community. And so hopefully, I can help you and we can get connected too. But yeah, follow these guys, man. All these guys are awesome, and they're all working hard and grinding. And so it's just awesome to be on here with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Always enjoy your positivity in the community and our DM conversations. So I appreciate you. All right. Last but definitely not least, Mr. Herms.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's me. Hello. You can find me out here in these streets at Herms NFL on the Twitter. That's where I tweet stuff. I don't know. Sometimes it's about football. Sometimes it's not. I don't know. Don't question me. Okay.
Sorry.
When I'm not doing just weird tweets about random stuff, Fantasy Pros, they have me write stuff, and they have me edit stuff, and they have me do a bunch of other stuff. So I do stuff there. And then I also have a podcast where it's like, so if you're watching or listening to this and you're like, wow, this guy's nuts. I wonder what he would sound like if he said the F word like way more often. Well, then do I have the show for you? It is The Lateral Show. You can find the show on Twitter at The Lateral FF. It's The Lateral, a sideways look at fantasy football. I don't know. I don't really know what's sideways about it, but it was such a good tagline. We couldn't really pass it up. And then
you don't just sit there and watch football like this.
Like, oh yes, of course. Welcome into The Lateral Show.
Hey. Lord.
Oh, I could not do that. Well, either that or you just lay down on the couch instead of sit up.
Oh, you turn the TV sideways. Is that what it is?
There you go. You just sit exactly.
The hat rack. There you are.
And then the last but not least, I am the podcast producer for the Devy Royale. If you are interested in college football, if you are interested in the Devy format, and you want to hear the words of some people way smarter than me about what to do with that stuff, tune into that show and follow them on Twitter at the DEVY Royal with an E. Devy Royale, right there. Super cool. It's going to be a great time. I mean, the theme song is going to be great. Got a new theme song for them going on. Got some, a whole bunch of other stuff. The podcast, complete makeover, courtesy of audio engineer Herms. It's going to be fantastic. Please check it out. Check out all the work that they do, because, like I said, way smarter than me. So
awesome. Thank you, Herms. And if you guys have been listening to the Fantasy Nightcap podcast for the last few months, you know that the intro is done by none other than Herms. So If you like this show, please like and subscribe on YouTube.
Even if you don't.
Even if you don't, like and subscribe.
Even if you never watch it again.
We're so close to 100, it would make my life so much easier to be able to just tweet out the YouTube link of www.youtube.com/fantasy nightcap versus whatever the hell it is now.
YouTube.com/Z6YQR.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that, actually.
Lowercase I, X, uppercase X, lowercase
yeah,
I.
there's a 9 in there somewhere, I'm pretty sure, and a C
Niner.
and a U. But yeah, so like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Nightcap and at FFShaneB. And this is the Fantasy Nightcap, where we serve you fantasy advice straight, no chaser. Cheers.